There are a couple of shapes that you need to know the areas of. First, I'll actually start with the more complicated ones. These ones are done using what I call the halving formulas. There's a very famous one, which is a triangle. Basically, you just have to halve something. Okay, it doesn't matter whether people often call it half the base times the height. It doesn't matter what you halve, just as long as you halve something. So if that was 6 and that was 8, they're both pretty easy to halve. So you could go half of 8, which is 4 times 6, you get 24. Or you could do half of 6 times 8, that'll be 24. Or you could do 6 times 8 and get 24, and then halve the result. Just as long as you halve something when you're doing the product of the height and the base, you will get the answer. But you often see in textbooks half the base times the height. So that's our first halving formula. Another halving formula is a kite. A kite, to work out the area of a kite, you need to know the length of the diagonals. So if that stretch was 10 and that stretch was 7, halve something. So go 5 times 7, the area will be 35. Or do 10 times 7, get 70, and then halve the result. That'll get you 35. And if you really want to, you can halve the 7 and get 3.5, and then times it by 10. That'll give you 35 as well. Now your final halving formula is for a trapezium. This is the trickiest one. You need to know that distance. You need to know that distance. And you need to know the gap between them. Okay? And what you do is, the two things that you multiply together is this plus this and that. And you have to halve one of those. So you could halve the 8, getting a 4, and then times it by 24. Or you could do 11 plus 13 and get 24 and then halve that. So it would be 12 times 8. Or you could just do 8 times 24 and then halve the result. So there are your three halving formulas: triangle, kite, and trapezium. The trickiest is the trapezium. You need to form a product of the sum of the parallel sides and the distance between them. I'll just give you another example. If that was 3 and that was 7 and that was 6, then I'd go 3 plus 7, which is 10, and I'd multiply it by the 6, and I've got to halve one of those. So let's go 3 times 3 plus 7. So the area of this would be 30. Okay, they're the halving formulas. What are the other formulas? Just rectangles, pretty basic. You just go half times, you don't go half, you go height times base, or height times width, whatever you want to call it. And parallelogram, this one's a bit tricky. You find some parallel sides. So for example, that's parallel to that. Once you've found a length of a parallel side, you grab it. So there's a 5 banked in my head, and now you just find the gap between the parallel sides. So if that was a 3, that's what I want. So the answer is just 5 times 3. So rectangle and parallelogram, no halving, just timesing. Triangle, kite, and trapezium, you do halve. You do a product in each case. So this times this, this times this, and this times this, but you halve one of the elements of your product.